Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna cover subqueries today. It's a pretty simple concept and wouldn't take a lot of time. And I'm using a data set that I've picked up from Canadian Statistical Society. It's about the salaries in Canada. So if you look at the data set, you have the job title, the province. Province is equivalent to states in the US. So we have provinces like Newfoundland, British Columbia, and then within the province there are different regions. So you have the Newfoundland and Labrador region, then you have the Northeast region and British Columbia, and then you have the wages as well. So you have the low wage, median wage, and the high wage. So basically, what they're trying to say is for the job category of legislators in this region of Newfoundland, these are the wages. So obviously for like a software engineer as well, not everyone gets paid the same amount. So you have the lower wage, you have the median wage, and you have the higher wage. So they are just trying to cover the distribution here. So they have given like 3 categories. Let me show you some more job categories here. So these are the wages for financial managers in different provinces. And for each province, you have different regions as well. So we can like group, we can get the average wage by grouping by province or by grouping by job title. So that's what we are going to explore in this Jupyter Notebook to find the one which is getting paid the most, which job title is getting paid the most in a province. So let's check out how many distinct job titles are there. Seems like we have 500 distinct job titles in Canada. And then how many distinct provinces are there? So there are 13 different provinces. So seems like there are no NATs, which is good. I was just checking the data set, having any issues. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna try to find which job title we should pursue to get paid the highest. So what I've done in this query, if you look at this query, I'm trying to get the job title, the province, and then I'm just focusing on the median wage in this notebook. I'm not going to focus on the lower wage or the higher wage because we're just expecting that we're going to get paid the average amount. So we're just focusing on the median wage and then doing an average over that. And then we're grouping by job title and province. So what we get is, if you look at the result, we have the job titles, we have the province, and we have the average median wage. So if you are an accommodation service manager in British Columbia, your average wage is going to be $26.44. And while you are the accommodation service manager in Newfoundland, your average wage is going to be 22.5. So it's better to be an accommodation service manager, I don't know what that is, in British Columbia than in Newfoundland. So I'm going to do something over this query. And I get the same results. So what I did right here is I did a select star from, and I just put brackets on the query that we wrote earlier. And we get the same results. So this query is basically called a subquery. It's as simple as that. This is the query which is called the subquery. And what you need to understand is the subquery gives you a result which can be treated as a table. So that's why we can do a select star from the result. We can also do one more thing. We can basically use aliases. So we can say that this average median wage would be called average median wage. And then I can come out from the subquery and use that average median wage and try to find who's getting paid more than 10K. So we see chiropractors are getting paid more than 10K. Vets are getting paid more than 10K. But then basically what you need to understand is we have the subquery inside another query. And then we can use aliases. So we just rename this column. And then outside that query, we're using a where clause. And we're using the renamed column right there.
Yeah, so just to emphasize this, maybe you can, can you just put the subquery in a separate line for a second?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Right. So just to emphasize this, right? Like if this wasn't a subquery, the only way I think that we could select based on the average median wage is by using having, right? Because we have to tell SQL to wait until after it's calculated to then perform the limit down the data. Like that's what the having clause accomplishes. But here, right, the subquery is essentially achieving that same order of operations, right? Where we're specifying the subquery, getting that result, right, resulting this data, then we're select starring from the table where, right, where this table essentially has records with the average median wage over 10,000.
And we're getting that from inside the subquery. So I'm gonna.
Sorry, we just had one question from Bryn.
Cool.
If it's not distracting, I was just wondering if, so here I've seen subqueries where the subquery is after the where statement, or maybe you would say within the where statement. So is that like two different ways of writing the same thing? Like you would be able to write this subquery with, like after the where statement?
So basically the subquery results in a table in this case, because we are doing a select on 3 columns. If I would have just done a select on 1 column, it would have resulted in a vector. So I could have used this in a where clause, like where average median wage is lying between this. Or
and just to
I
jump
have this
in,
example right here.
Yeah, just to jump in, we are going to get to that in like a future lesson, Bryn.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's a really good
That too,
question,
yes.
and we'll get to there pretty soon.
So in this lesson, we're just gonna go over like using it with the from clause, but then it can be used with different clauses. So, okay. So now we know what a subquery does. It like returns a table in this case, and we can like query on that table with a select. We can use a where clause, and let's see what else we can do. And why do we want to use this? There's something called stacked aggregates. This is one of the main use cases of subqueries. So basically, if I want to find the maximum average median wage, I would have to use this. Let me give you an example. So we have the initial subquery right here. I haven't changed anything. We are just doing a select job title and province and the average median wage. I'm using an alias here, and it's from the same table. So this is the subquery that we were using earlier. Now, I want to find the maximum average median wage grouped by job title and province. So I want to see in which province, among the provinces and the job titles, which is getting paid the highest. So if we had to do this, I would have done this right here. But what happens is we get an error. And it says that we cannot use average that way, misuse of aggregate function average. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to use average and we're stacking max on that, which we cannot do. That's what it's trying to say. So the other way of doing this would be removing the max from here and using it as a subquery, using the result we get from this as a subquery. So I'm gonna do select title province maximum of what it returns, because we named it different average median wage. Average median wage. And then I have the subquery right here. And I just did a from on the result. Select these 3 from the result of this. And this is a subquery. So we see that judges are getting paid the most. And that's happening in New Brunswick, which we wouldn't have been able to do if we just use one query. So basically, we got the result from this, which is right here. If I remove the where clause. And then we just ran this on that result that you see here. So we just got the title, province, and the maximum. We just did a max on this column. And it seems like judges in New Brunswick are getting paid the most. Any questions?
Sweet. Okay, perfect.
I'm not going to add anything more to it. Jeff, if you want.
I forbid her from doing so. So anyway, we just have